what is the craziest Starfield DLC you could think of? Our Discord came with a bunch of ideas.
They came in like a wrecking ball. It was all Miley Cyrus all over the place. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Starfield with Normal People. My name is Duane, and I am here with my friend Michael. Michael, what's happening, buddy?
I'm just learning more and more about Starfield every day. I found out there is the most mysterious item in the game.
Ooh,
is
intriguing.
It's something called the layered tea.
Oh, I have a bunch of those.
It is.
I have a whole fridge full. No, not really. Oh, wait. So wait, tea like something you drink, or?
No, as in like a t-shirt.
The layered tea. Oh, okay.
Apparently, it's a clothing item that you're not supposed to be able to get, I suppose. But the game will spawn it. First of all, I've never found this thing.
Sure.
But a few people have found it.
Do you want to
what
find
happens
it? Is the question. Maybe.
I kind of want to now.
Okay.
The rarity. It's
Sure.
the rarity that makes
all about
me
the rarity.
want to. Yeah. Apparently what happens is if you happen to find it, you'll grab it and then you'll check your inventory and it's not there.
Oh, weird.
So the mysterious layered tea.
Maybe it has superpowers that the devs don't want players to have. So you equip the layered tea and suddenly you're bolstered in your HP or something to that effect.
Yeah, maybe the stats are even better than the the hazmat suit. I think the hazmat suit has the best stats of like any clothing item, which is too bad because I never want to wear it because then like you're wearing a hazmat suit around town. But
it reminds me of my Fallout 4 outfit, which again is just the loincloth, but I've found that I can equip a helmet along with it, and so far the best helmet that I picked up is like a laminated synth helmet. So my character, which is a lot like me, looks completely ridiculous. It's like this pasty dude with no shirt on, wearing like like a padded helmet, running around the wastelands. Have you? Wow, I know with all the hype from the Fallout TV series, have you jumped back into Fallout 4 or Fallout 3?
No.
Or New Vegas?
I haven't.
Or 76, dare we say?
Dare we say? Well, so I've wanted to jump back into Fallout 4. I'm waiting for the next gen update, which is more of a current gen update, but it's coming out in a couple days.
Yeah, my big thing is widescreen support, because on a PC, you can go into the INI file and edit within a text document and set custom screen sizes.
Right.
Sometimes it can take you like 40 minutes to get it figured out and to get it to work properly, at least the first time through. Once it's set up, but it'll be nice for PC players to see widescreen and ultra widescreen support for those people with that ultra widescreen monitors. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm in such a quandary about what, like with Fallout, because man, I don't want to say too much, but
spoilers for the TV show, or what do you mean?
Yeah, it's kind of for I won't say too much, but essentially there's a specific Fallout game that now my family, like my whole family, we watched the Fallout show. We all loved it. And now they're like, you need to play Fallout in front of us, like, because they don't want to play it, but they want to see it. And they want to know what's happening.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, Dad needs to play Fallout so everyone can see what's going on.
That reminds me, there was a Reddit thread about a guy playing, what was that PlayStation exclusive title where you're like an adventurer and they remade it with the Spider-Man? Uncharted. Yeah, there was a Reddit post about a guy playing Uncharted, and his girlfriend, who was like a non-gamer, was like, hey, are you going to play again tonight? Because she was like so invested into the story that she had to like join him every play session to watch along with him playing. But yeah, that's interesting. I can imagine your whole family sitting there watching you playing on the couch.
Yeah, so what's funny is Fallout 76 has seen a huge uptick in people playing, like because of the show. And then
Fallout
the
4
other
too,
day,
I read was
yes,
exploding.
Fallout 4. And the thing is, like, they actually sent an email out. Bethesda sent an email that I got yesterday saying, come play Fallout 76 and you can start the game at level 20. Like, you can exit the vault at level 20, and then they were like, and then there's a gift box outside of the vault with like a ton of weapons and goodies and items. So they're really like sweetening the pot. Like, I don't know, they might get me to play. I've played in the past. I don't know what level I got to.
I don't know about the gameplay and the online experience, but I kind of want to see it just for the updated, because it is the newest, iteration of Fallout. So it's going to have the best graphics. It's going to look the best and have the best effects and all that. That's kind of the reason why I want to play it.
Honestly, it's pretty solid, even from what I remember. Yeah, because when it first came out, they didn't want to have any human NPCs because they were like, no, all the humans are players. Like, they have this whole concept of like it was sort of undercooked because they wanted human interaction, but then
it's kind of like when game devs put a game out and they make people play test it and QA it. So they put out a broken game and then it gets fixed by all the end user. Same thing with Fallout. It's like, here's our idea, now let's all you humans go populate our game world, and that's what'll make it good.
Yeah. No, but since then they have added, I mean, this was like years ago, they added like story DLC and like human NPCs and like all this stuff. So at this point, you can play it like a single player game. Okay, yeah, you can play it solo, and then there's other people running around. But
is it like Grand Theft Auto Online where you're like running around playing the game kind of solo, and then all of a sudden somebody just comes in and obliterates you? I mean, is that going to happen? Is it open PvP?
As far as I know, it's very difficult for people to troll you and come ruin your game.
I'm just thinking like mini nukes. Like Fat Mans and mini nukes getting launched everywhere.
Yeah, it may have changed since I played, but I remember even then, if someone shot you, it would do like 0.001% of the damage. Like, it just wouldn't hurt you at all unless you then shot them back. And like, it's almost like if they shoot you, it's an invitation to battle, and if you ignore them, they won't hurt you.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
But what's crazy is people can activate a nuke. And so you never, like, I think there's like a countdown. So you'll get like a 10-minute countdown that a nuke is going to go off. And so you could be like doing an adventure in this part of the map, and then all of a sudden this big red circle pops up on the map. I think there's like a siren going off. Like, it's kind of cool and very exciting. But whatever you're doing, you now have to get out of the area. And so it's yeah. Yeah, what's kind of cool is like seeing the nuke going off. Like, it's a huge like nuclear explosion. Oh man, see, now this is getting me wanting to play. Yeah. But
I've been playing a ton.
I want to play Fallout 4. I want to play New Vegas. I want to play 76. Like, there's
just not enough hours in the day. I've been playing a lot of Fallout 4 since the series came out. I haven't finished the TV series. I'm on episode 6. I think there's 8. And
you're almost there.
Yeah, I definitely got back in the game, and it's really, really fun. I absolutely adore that game, and I love the VAT system. That is something I miss from Starfield. But I wanted to bring up a point about Fallout 4. Do you remember when it first came out? Many of the people that were Bethesda fans at the time hated Fallout 4. Remember?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't Fallout 3. It wasn't Fallout New Vegas. And now look at the general adoration of Fallout 4. It's universally praised.
Like, people love it. Yeah, absolutely.
Basically, I'm wondering, hey, because Starfield kind of felt the same way when it was at launch. And I'm wondering, in 10 years from now, because I mean, when did Fallout 4 come out? 5, 6, 7 years ago? But I'm just thinking, like, in half a decade, with all the updates, with all the DLCs, everything available, what will Starfield be like? And will they have a TV show? With the success of Fallout, I mean, will we see Elder Scrolls? I mean, I know Todd Howard was saying, well, Fallout's kind of a unique world. Elder Scrolls
Right.
is, kind of medieval. So we've seen that a lot with Game of Thrones and everything else. But it'll be interesting to
Fallout
see.
4 came out about 9 years ago.
9 years ago. Wow. That's incredible.
But I agree. I think even Skyrim ran into this where people said that it was, a lot of the streamlining that they did, that people said it was dumbed down from Oblivion. Yeah, so even that one was heavily criticized when it came out. Yeah, that just seems to be the natural cycle that Bethesda games go through. Is like it first comes out, people have all these criticisms, they don't like it. I mean, it hasn't even been out a year yet, and I think we've talked about this, but there's been so many posts that are like, I tried the game when it came out, I didn't like it, couldn't get into it, Starfield. Recently, like 6 months later, I decided to try it out again, and now I love it. You've been fine with the game since the beginning, but even like you miss VATS. Like you miss VATS from Fallout. I think VATS could be interesting if they added it to Starfield, but in a way I'm kind of like, well, no, that's a Fallout thing.
I've said this before. I wish Starfield had VATS until now. Like after playing Fallout 4, I put in probably not a whole lot, maybe 10, 15 hours in the last week or two. I use VATS on every kill.
Right. Yeah.
Starfield, you don't even have VATS, so it's like I'm glad because I use it so much in Fallout. If I want VATS, I'll go play Fallout 4. There's a whole other array of skills and things that change the interaction with enemies in Starfield. It's like let's have new stuff. Let's go ahead and experiment with all this new stuff in the game. I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad it doesn't have VATS.
And I still feel like when you upgrade your ship combat to where you can lock on and then choose what part you're shooting of the ship.
Right, that is
I still kind of feel
VATS.
like that's the VATS. Yeah, they kind of put VATS into ship combat.
Which I think is cool. Great because I need those moments, and to be able to target individual systems is fun. Yeah, speaking of Todd Howard, he was interviewed, I think, from IGN regarding the TV show, and he had a couple of comments regarding Starfield, so I thought I'd bring it up. Howard said, quote, "Our focus as far as new development right now is Elder Scrolls 6, but he continues, that doesn't mean we're not making plans for other things. We're still doing a lot of work, obviously, on Fallout 76, blah, 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 blah. We're doing a lot of Starfield work as well." Which we knew, we've talked about on our podcast, so we know, I mean, in the past they said there was a team of like 250 people working on Starfield, which is immense.
Like that's such a huge team for a game that's already released, and it just shows that they have big plans for this game still.
And just to finalize the rest of his quote, he said, "We're doing a lot of Starfield work as well, so we have some really good updates that are going to get announced soon for that game. So a lot going on here."
Yeah, they're kind of. I think they're a little bit past that, like 6 weeks from the last update. I did find it interesting. I was thinking, the fact that there's a little bit of a delay, could that be a good thing? Like, could that mean that this is going to be a larger update? That could be very exciting. I mean, the last update they did was massive in terms of it had tons of like fixes and stuff.
Right.
But it didn't have new content. It had the new, poses and stuff for photo mode, which we have found very fun, and our Discord has made good use of that. Other than that, it was a bunch of game fixes.
They have to be careful not to open up a new, worse bug by implementing changes and fixes to existing bugs, because it's such a big game with who knows how many lines of code, but changing one thing can affect something that they did not anticipate. And I think we did see a couple things happen like that with even this last update. And then there was a hot fix that went out shortly after to kind of fix the patch, as that happens. But I mean, coming from my old days in working for Electronic Arts, you always want one more day before the game goes gold, before you have to release it. And maybe not just the game, but like the patch. So if you can wait for an important fix. Maybe you're waiting on a small group of a specific team, maybe the animation team or something. It could be worth pushing it back another week. And they're not set by any fiduciary responsibility to take it to Fallout reference from the TV show, but they're not obligated to. Maybe they are somewhat, but they don't need an exact date to release that patch like they would the actual game.
So many times we've seen games that get released for that reason. It's like because it's fourth quarter and we need money coming in. I kind of feel like that happened with Cyberpunk.
Oh, absolutely,
needed
it did.
More time, and
I think
just like, well.
They even acknowledged it. The devs were like, "Yeah, we weren't ready to really release this, and we had to."
Well, I wanted to bring up these comments. About 6 years ago, on Reddit, the director of Daggerfall, Julian Jensen, did an AMA. So that stands for Ask Me Anything. And his comments are very interesting because, as many of us know, Daggerfall used procedural generation to generate the map.
And that map was massive. We talked about that in one of the first episodes, I think. But yeah, it was a big world.
And we're talking like so big that the game was not designed to have you run across the entire map. It was so big that you would just fast travel from here, from this point to that point. Now, the procedural generation meant that if you wanted to travel through the wilderness for many days, you could do that. So, like, it's kind of interesting. Like, it's like, how hardcore of a role player are you, right? Like, so if you wanted to feel like, oh yeah, going from this town to that town is going to take, a day's travel.
There's a bus driving game from like the 80s where all you do is drive a bus. Like, nothing happens. You just have to keep it on the road. The minute you go off the road, game over. And you have to play it for like 8 hours solid in order to beat the game, I think.
Oh my gosh.
It's like Bus Driver or something like that. But
isn't it a straight road?
It's a straight road. The bus wants to like veer off the road if you don't.
It wants to veer. It sort of wants to go to the right a little bit, so you have to like just correct it every once in a while. Oh man!
But that's like so Daggerfall. If you wanna slow travel, you're basically just walking through the environment for hours and hours.
So I find it interesting because somebody was asking. Because Julian was not part of, I don't believe he was part of Skyrim. And so Skyrim was very different in that it didn't do procedural generation. It was a smaller map, it's all handcrafted, and the idea is that you explore the whole map generally. It's funny because in his comments 6 years ago, he was saying, Todd wants to do things his way. I don't know if he's ever going to do procedural generation. And of course, fast forward 6 years later, he absolutely did procedural generation. I think this is fascinating for a lot of reasons, other than just like how Todd's viewpoint may have changed on using procedural generation.
Sure.
But like Julian Jensen pointed out how important it was to just have this massive world.
I think the genre too inspired Todd, because think about it, like if you're going to build a universe exploration game, by golly, I mean, there aren't enough hours and workers to really flesh out a universe in a way that you can with procedural generation. So it makes logical sense that he would have chosen that route.
I loved Mass Effect. In the first game, you could explore like sort of like barren planets. And every time you explore it, like every time you play the game, it's we're talking a small square of land. And it is the exact same. It is a handcrafted barren planet.
Right. But
it is
it's
the exact same every time
chunk.
You play the game.
Yeah. And how far does it?
It's just the same chunk.
Corner to corner, like how long does it take to walk to the edge of the chunk, and what happens when you do so?
Man, I mean, I barely remember, but
You can't go that
it's
way. It's like
not a
Fallout.
lot. Yeah, it's just like you don't, yeah, turn back or
Or
you
die
will
of
blow up. I
radiation
don't
poison.
know. Like, not only do these planets have different biomes that are sometimes very different from each other, but you're never going to see the same chunk of land, twice,
Right.
unless you go back to that same point. And I'm just so, I don't know, I'm just glad they made the game the way they did, because it's about space exploration. Like, it's about like the vastness of space. So,
Oh, people would
like,
have complained. Imagine if it
yeah,
was handcrafted. The very first complaint that would have come out would be like, I landed on a different planet and it's the same handcrafted section from the other planet.
yeah, yeah,
They absolutely had to do
yeah.
procedural generation. Reddit user Matt G. Vercom found a planet that has an unlikely amount of POIs on it. In fact, it has an incredible amount, and I don't know if it's a bug or if it was intentional. And even this user stated that they'd never come across that in hundreds of hours of playing Starfield. Have you seen a planet which just has like, I don't know, dozens and dozens of POIs on it?
No, I wonder what causes this. It feels to me like a bug of some sort.
Yeah, and maybe
Yeah.
the POIs is RNG, like somehow they rolled a 100. You know what I mean?
It's just this weird bug, I think.
I don't think it's a bug. I think it's a rare roll of the dice. Well, you and I asked our Discord, link in the description, to come up with DLC. How did you word it? Crazy DLC?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying, like, what is the craziest Starfield DLC you could think of? And our Discord came with a bunch of ideas.
They came in like a wrecking ball. It was all Miley Cyrus all over the place.
I think, like, there's certain DLCs that people just want so badly that if you ask anyone what DLC, or you just mention DLC and they've got these things chambered that they want, like that most of us want in the game.
Our first one, Michael, was our good friend Oliver, who says, okay, here's my idea for a DLC, a long quest that will have you choose an allegiance towards a faction, but that will automatically turn you hostile, or best polite but careful, towards other factions. So choose carefully, especially if it's a Varun story in the DLC. Interesting. Yeah, that could be very cool. I mean, like, it's already kind of baked in the game in terms of all these different factions. It seems like it would be something that they could implement fairly easily from a technology standpoint, but who knows? I'm not a coder.
Absolutely.
So.
They have done this type of thing in the past, so I definitely think they could. I've seen, like, okay, when I became a pirate in the game, I did get a message that said, UC Sysdef is now your enemy. So, you can just do, more of that. I like this idea a lot. I think that there should be more consequences for your choices. It's like Skyrim, there's a civil war going on, and if you pick a side, like, the other side becomes your enemy. So
Right.
it'd be great to see more like that. All right, well, XF actually had tons of ideas, so we'll be coming back to XF quite a bit as they posted their ideas, but some of them are pretty crazy, so I appreciate that. XF said, number 1, creature racing.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Creature, like, so a foot race versus like a terramorph, or what does he mean by that? Or
at
are
first
you
that's what I
riding
thought.
a terramorph?
Yeah, see,
Okay.
my first thought was it was like going to the horse, Kentucky Derby, but then as soon as you were talking about maybe riding them, it reminded me of Final Fantasy. They had chocobo racing where you would ride them. So maybe it is something like that. I would love rideable, creatures.
Is Wayne Brady going to have to chocobo?
It's so funny reading about how Wayne Brady, like, he was on set really, like, guys, I don't know if I can say this.
He really is that nice
Like,
in real
he's
life.
just super nice. Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about Chappelle's show for those lost on that reference.
But yeah, there you go. Creature racing, that could be something. Hey, and you know what? We already have places like, the Red Mile that have kind of like, it's like the gambling underworld, right? Like more morally onerous things happening. I think
Yep.
that's where they would definitely do some creature racing.
And I was just playing Fallout 4, and you run across this track, and there's like a Mr. Handy racing like one of those bipedal
Yeah.
robots and stuff. So there's kind of like
They're robots. Yeah, I always thought that was interesting. I love like walking near that track and just like the first time I was like, what is that sound? Because like you'd hear the announcer like. So XF also said the serpent is real and a giant boss to battle, or any super large creature boss to fight. We don't have anything like that right now. Yes, you and I have talked about this. We need a massive alien creature.
Yes, do what Hollywood does, which is raise the stakes. And how do you do that? Embiggen it. Make everything bigger. Make it more like, think about Marvel. Like when they want an enemy to be more menacing, sometimes they make it bigger,
Yeah. He got into the super soldier serum. Yeah. I mean, ever since they released the trailer for Starfield, and my wife was like, there's a shot from a cave, and we mentioned it early on in the podcast, and my wife was like, oh, is that a cave or is it like a creature's teeth? Like we started, we were getting hyped and started to think like that'd be cool if like that whole cave was like a creature. Alas, it did not happen, but they still could do it in DLC.
They absolutely could.
And XF also said, hey, you said crazy, so a Fallout or an Elder Scrolls crossover. I think ever since this game was announced, people were saying that someone is going to mod the entire Skyrim map onto a planet.
That'd be awesome. You land, you pass out, and then you wake up in a wagon, basically.
Yeah, I'm just waiting. I come on, modders.
His last idea in that same set. Oh, actually, has more after that. But he says we don't have an underwater world that I know of. Yeah, that's true. Underwater, we need Mario.
I want this. Yeah, yeah. I mean, as a huge fan of Subnautica, I just, even if they didn't go that deep with it, obviously Subnautica is its own game. And that's the whole game is being underwater. But still, they could have, like a Gungan-style underwater city. So I would, like right now, you go to Neon, that's the only point on that whole planet that you can land on is Neon. Yeah. And you can easily reveal later, oh, there's actually an underwater city on the other side of the planet. You could add that in.
Oh, I like that.
Okay, Matt has a crazy DLC idea saying start your own faction. Pick a world to settle on and build a city to rival that of New Atlantis or Aquila. I think this is pretty cool. And pretty crazy, and it would be big, but I think it's doable.
He says rule society as you see fit. Dictatorship. Fascism. Yeah, I'm Kim Jong-un.
In other words, it's my way or the highway,
Of course. Yeah, that'd be super fun.
I think that this is cool. And this is where the, the 1,000+ planets comes, it's going to help a lot in these types of DLCs or mods.
And he also said, if you want to shout out the podcast, maybe implement the Nemesis system, and the other factions will react based on how your faction interacts with the rest of the galaxy. Yes, Nemesis system from Shadow of
Mordor.
I always want to put an S on.
This is one of those things, man, where once they start adding things like this, whether through mods or DLC, I'm going to be in real trouble. I already play Starfield way too much, and it's still only the vanilla game. And
just you wait.
It's
going to be like Fallout 4 and even Fallout 76. Everybody hated Fallout 76 when it came out. Now I'm thinking about playing it. So there you go. Well, Matt also said he wants the internal ship customizer. I totally agree with this because you build these cool looking ships and then you struggle with the inside, and a lot of times the inside doesn't kind of mesh with what you've built on the outside. So yeah, 100% internal ship customizer. Yes.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to design the ship the way you want it to be outside. Yeah, and then go inside and change everything up. I agree.
He's talking Sims level customization though, so that's getting pretty extensive. Maybe
that
even
is extensive.
Change it to an isometric view and have like real-time strategy going on in there.
I personally would love more reasons to be in your ship and hang out and, because you'll build these ships. Yeah, you build these ships, and I just feel like I'm either going straight to the cockpit, or like if I accidentally walk into the ship normally, you're just making a beeline for the cockpit. Like there's not really any reason to do anything else on the ship. So
I usually go straight to the cockpit as well.
So we've got David Doombringer, who his idea for DLC is commerce and industry. I already love that. I'm already on board, but he outlines this like crazy. They say, make an improvement on vendors, make the trade authority actually able to trade. What does that mean?
Because when you go to the trade authority, you don't actually trade, you just sell your crap to them. So say you had like 100 rounds of X ammo and you're like, I want to trade this. And there'd be like that Baldur's Gate style trading system of 2 windows. And hey, I'm going to give you this for this. No, that's not enough.
Right.
You actually have to add some gold to it.
Fallout 4 does that. I kind of like how Fallout 4, they actually made you feel like you were trading, because you could, like, yes, everything costs caps, but you could say, I'm going to buy this and this, and I'm going to sell you this, this, and this. If I'm remembering correctly, then at the end of it, you could actually be only making like 3 caps or, whatever, but you got stuff and they got stuff.
Right.
So with Fallout 4, it kind of actually feels like a bartering system, which is perfect for that environment.
He continues, he says, have a market that is affected by how many resources you buy and sell. Price is maintained by the trade authority, and merchant prices can vary by area.
Oh, see, that would be cool. Now, that'd be cool if you sold too much silver. Let's say you have a silver mine, and you sell so much to this one planet that the value actually drops, and then you have to go to another planet for a better price.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
This really appeals to those Excel doc people. And you're actually counted amongst them, because you love like F1 Manager, where it's all spreadsheets and like managing the finer details of this. Don't get me wrong, I mean, I think that would be amazing if it was implemented into the game, because to have a robust economy or industry system in the game that maybe you don't have to directly play around with it, but it kind of indirectly affects how you buy, sell, and trade things, would be amazing.
To finish this out, they've got several other points here, like more cargo and smuggling ship options. Totally agree. More industry-related mission boards, trade authority kiosks at outposts. Yeah, that reminds me of No Man's Sky. You could build your home, your little space outpost, and you can actually have the equivalent of a trade authority kiosk at your house, so that you could just sell things without leaving the planet.
That's actually what was at the center of the universe in that game, was just one giant kiosk. You could get everything there.
But yeah, I love these ideas from David Doombringer. That's one of the reasons I've been recently saying I want to play Skyrim again, is because somebody made that, mod where you start a company or you're sort of working for this trade company across the entire map. It does feel like, with the Ryujin storyline, they definitely had this concept of, the corporate world in Starfield. So it would be interesting to see more of that.
To you.
I don't know.
No, I mean, you said corporate. My eyes kind of glazed over, but Ryujin snore.
They do. Yeah, they do kind of like a corporate espionage. I guess what I mean is it's an interesting feel. Like it has an interesting feel to it, but of all the factions, it's my least favorite.
Gene Cobb posted in our Discord, and his crazy DLC ideas include space station outposts. Choose from low orbit, high orbit, geosynchronous orbit, or Lagrange point. Lagrange point. Oh man, that's like the point where it's like halfway between two orbiting bodies or something like that. I don't know. I gotta look it up.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Wow. I'm gonna have to Google it. Asteroid based or completely manufactured. Defenses for both space debris and pirates too. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Can you imagine building space station outposts? How fun would that be?
Oh, I want that so bad. Yeah, the space stations are cool. And I feel like people have seen in the game's code that it's definitely intended that there will be space station building at some point.
He also says asteroid mining. Installed a special mining laser similar to a handheld cutter on your ship instead of a weapon and mine resources in space. Higher quantity, quality, and variety than with current game mechanics. Yeah, that could be cool.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of fun to be had just blasting asteroids. I mean, I think we've all done that when we encountered asteroids in Starfield. It's like, I'm going to start blasting these. But specifically to do mining on them would be pretty cool. I agree with that idea.
Well, I played a game called, so most people are aware of EVE Online, and I didn't play the PC version. I didn't play until they made the mobile version. And so it was like EVE Echoes. And it's so, if you saw it, it would look like the most boring thing ever. But I had a ship that I mined asteroids. Like that's what I did. And so I would just send it out and I would just mine asteroids and then go back and sell, what I had made. And I don't know, man. It was like, it didn't seem like the most interesting thing, but it was like pretty chill and like enjoyable and the atmosphere is cool. So I would love to see that come to something like Starfield.
Did you know there's a asteroid called Ida, like Idaho, because it's like looks like a potato?
No, this is like a real thing?
This is a real thing. Random fact of the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, there you go. Yeah, Jane also mentioned ship salvage. That would be fun. A shipyard module for outposts. Companion fleets. Giving a ship to your companions and have them fly in formation along with you. Wow, that would be cool.
That would be awesome.
And then Jane also mentioned HAB modules that mean something to the ship. They said brigs that work, sick bays that heal you, engineering bays that are required at a certain level or a boost ship stats. Yeah, this is awesome. Like sick bays, when you go and recruit Rosie, she's like, she says something like, oh, do you want a doctor on your ship? And so she will bring you medical supplies every once in a while, but she doesn't actually act like a doctor because when you go to a doctor in town, they can heal you. Like you pay to get healed and whatever. So I agree. It would be nice to actually have a doctor on your ship for real.
Yeah, and I think all these companions that you can hire or bring onto your ship, they all have these amazing stats, and you can assign them to your ship and whatnot. But there is a bit of a missing link between realizing those stats in actual gameplay. Because like, I no longer have Sarah on my ship. Have I noticed that I don't have an astrophysicist on there? Not necessarily. I think it'd be cool to tie into this idea, make the character stats or the companion stats impact what you're doing in game that much more. Like you said, with the doctor, and if you had a HAB on your ship for sick bay, and you have a companion that is a doctor, somehow they interact, they give you bonus, something to that effect. XF is back with his 9th DLC idea, and he says, Okay, yeah, this is a Fallout style, but it's not unrealistic to have a planet that is destroyed by a virus or radioactivity. Perhaps the problem is cleared up and you have to find the bunkers. Convince the inhabitants it's safe to come out. Maybe some are in good standing, ready to come out and repopulate. Some are dead inside or overrun by lawlessness. The surface world looks like The Walking Dead, falling apart, covered in wildlife. The surface alone would be challenging. So yeah, basically like a zombie planet.
Even though that is similar to the vaults in Fallout, I think you could definitely do it differently enough. That, like, people have bunkers, like that is a thing. So I could see that.
What I love about this idea is that you're eradicating like zombie-like creatures, because again, after coming off a week of playing Fallout 4, it's a little more satisfying to take out a feral ghoul, because knowing that it no longer really has any humanity left, you don't feel bad about, taking a baseball bat and dislodging their head from their body in the game.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas a raider, you're like, it's a little weird to be this, violent towards another human being, even though they fully deserved it. Whereas the feral ghouls, you're like, I could go to town all day on these zombies.
Joe Uncool says Neon DLC. The player has to overthrow Benjamin Bayou and take over Neon. In one of the quests, the player has to spy on Bayou's activities by putting on the outfit and becoming one of the dancers in the Astral Lounge.
Yes,
going undercover.
Those are the best outfits.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in Starfield that cannot be killed, and I'm hoping that DLC down the line says, all right, now you can take them out. A Drifting Dusty says they've got a theory on shattered space. So shattered space could be another war. So space is being shattered because Varun's return is the powder keg to ignite tensions. You have to pick a faction and eradicate the others. And more epic space battles. Yes, I think that's something we all want, right? I mean, because I'm thinking, like, right now space battles are pretty cool. I like that it's like dogfighting. But imagine if you had like a dreadnought coming in against another dreadnought, and you have to fly around like Star Wars style, where you have to eliminate points on this huge ship. That'd be so much fun.
We've seen some excellent sized asteroids. Why couldn't ships be that big?
Yeah.
Bring in some big ships and let the battles begin.
Yeah, even No Man's Sky had added this, where it's you have the small ships that you battle 1-to-1, and then they have these larger ships that you have to go around, and I think you can even do like trench, like go in the trenches like Star Wars, and take out weak points. I think that'd be super fun in Starfield.
Unconscionable, our resident Chunks expert, stated that Starfield quick service restaurant DLC would be his idea. Chunks versus Canuck industrial espionage missions, like plant something gross ahead of a health inspection or steal ingredient trade secrets from their headquarters. Open franchised restaurants for either brand, supply missions like for that restaurant in the underbelly. I love it. An entire mod or DLC that is surrounds the Chunks or the Canuck food brands.
Yeah, you know how in the game already, if you talk to a Chunks employee and if you ask them what's in Chunks, they'll just say something like that you don't want to know. Like they don't say that. So I'm imagining also a mission where the recipe for Chunks is in a locked briefcase and it becomes like contraband. So you have to secure it from Canuck.
I'm gonna get that Krabby Patty recipe.
Oh man, that would be fun. Unconscionable also said, hardcore ship combat. There are no shields. Point defense cannons to defend against missiles. First off, ship combat is already hardcore for me. depending on what skill points I put in my character. If you don't put any ship stuff like into your skill points, it is tough. Yeah. No shields?
I do a lot of running.
Oh man.
Shields was one of the first I put point into because I kept getting blasted out of space. So
honestly, even with my like level 108 character, I still feel like I need to put more into ship combat.
I still want to build like the cruiser that just has all is it auto targeting cannons?
Right.
Pull into an area, just let the cannons do all the dirty work. I don't have to target anything. It's just like, here I am. You better run.
Yeah, that would be fun to build that. Talk about we said that this would be a great way to feel like a captain, right? And then you can actually stand up from your seat. And I wonder if you stand up from your chair during combat, but you have all auto turrets. Do the auto turrets keep firing, or do you have to be sat in your seat?
I think they do, because enemies keep firing at you, I've noticed. In the 25 seconds that I'm trying to let the animation play out and then return to my seat.
So this is fun, and this is what I would want to do. I would love if you built a huge ship, just tons of auto turrets, and then you just get up from your seat and go stand next to the window. You do that corporate stance and you just watch the battle play out from the window.
Your faith in your friends is yours. I was going to say my key binding, I'm on PC by the way, my key binding, I specifically took it off so that the get up button was nowhere near any of the buttons I was using during space combat.
Oh, that's smart.
And then it still happened. I don't know.
No way.
I'm like, what the heck? I moved it to, I think it was like on my number pad somewhere on the complete opposite side of the keyboard. I was like destined to keep getting up anyway, regardless.
Yeah. Well, Skyless Moon also brought up space station construction. Totally agree there. They talk about robot making and customization. We've talked about that in the past, how rad that would be to build your own robot. It's all there. It's all there in the game. Like it would not be that crazy. It'd be totally doable.
Yes.
But then Skyless Moon also mentioned new celestial bodies, being able to land on large asteroids and explore, maybe getting close to gas giant atmospheres like a cloud city, planets orbiting black holes, and maybe even megastructures. Yes. I love all of that.
Maybe a Dyson sphere. Have you heard of those?
Dyson sphere.
No, that's an actual thing. It's like when you're an advanced civilization and you're trying to capture every last scrap of energy from your local star. You build a mega structure that surrounds the star, and it literally absorbs and gathers every last photon.
Oh, I see. Wow, that'd be amazing. Skyless Moon also mentioned underground expansion, so doing more with cave systems and underground POIs. And the ability to build outposts below ground.
Yeah.
There you go.
That
Vault.
would be
It's
very
vault
cool.
Time. I had this idea for a movie once about a planet that, like, during the day it's so hot, like you burn up instantly going outside, and that everyone like lives underground, and that could definitely be something in the game. Just
what was the first Riddick
having
movie?
to live underground.
Fade to Black.
Oh, Pitch Black.
Pitch Black. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, doesn't the sun get so
as,
hot that...
I think so, but also it's like as soon as shadow appears, these creatures come out.
Yeah, it was kind of the opposite of that. It's like the sun's fine, but then when it turns to night, that's when the creatures emerge. They mostly come out at night, mostly. Kitalahara from our Discord says, you start with the frontier crashed on a random map point of a random planet. You have to figure out how to leave. Do you hijack someone? Pay for a ride to get parts? Buy resources, give players several options, even being able to hitch a ride to planets in a system. Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea, and it reminded me of our conversation with Space Cadet and like kind of doing this whole role-playing activity of doing that without this mod, but having the mod kind of force you, I think would be even better.
Being able to hitch rides, like right now there are little side missions where someone will ask you for a ride on your ship. But part of like the appeal of certain like Star Wars or other, sci-fi adventures is like not having your own ship and having to hitch a ride on someone else's. Like that would be cool to be able to do that. Jane Cobb came back to also mention maybe DLC for sort of a virus, an alien virus that is infecting human settlers. So the infections could do different things, maybe kill or transform people. Yeah, haven't really had to deal with a virus in Starfield yet.
Yeah, instead of chewing your food, basically, once you get the virus, all your teeth fall out and you have to vomit stomach acid up onto a donut in order to absorb it.
Oh man, that is gnarly.
Credit the fly.
That's right.
Yeah, for those of you young people that love Jeff Goldblum, go watch the remake of The Fly from the 80s, not the original 1950s The Fly, but the Jeff Goldblum version. And it's a horror movie.
Cherry Bomb RN has had this idea that she's mentioned before for a DLC would be for all the factions to confer or compete over the artifacts. Okay, so this is interesting because as of right now, in the story, it's just you and Constellation going after the artifacts. But this is a great idea. Like, what would happen if all these other, like, it seems like nobody else knows what's going on with the artifacts. But what if they found out?
Yeah, and it'd be cool to have like a beacon. So like say you land on a planet that has the artifact. You're headed towards the temple. On your map, you see competing factions landing as well. And then say one of the other factions beats you to the temple and gets the artifact. And then you see that you can somehow follow that beacon and either intercept them before they get back to their ship. It's almost like a game of capture the flag.
Yeah, man, that would be so cool. Or let's say they get on their ship, like you're running and then you see the ship take off. So you go to your ship and then you can go blast them in space to get the artifact.
Right.
This would be incredible. I would love to see other factions competing for the artifacts.
It'd give you a sense of urgency because I've had moments in the game where I've gone for weeks in real life versus like maybe a dozen hours in game of, oh yeah, I know about this artifact on a planet and I'm just doing other stuff. There's no sense of urgency to go get the artifact unless you want to advance the storyline. This would change that entirely. Like as soon as Vlad tells you, we've got a signal, but hey, guess what? Crimson Fleet also intercepted our signal. They're on their way. So if you don't get there within one game unit of 1 hour in the game or whatever, 1 UT, you're going to lose out on that artifact. Or you're going to have to chase it down somewhere else.
That would be cool. I liked, we've talked about the Nemesis system and how this, orc captain that you're going after, he's over in this camp. If you wait too long, he'll be over in this fortress later on.
He'll be stronger. And taunting you like Billy from 3rd grade.
Friggin' Billy.
A lot of really excellent DLC ideas, Michael. Thank you so much to everybody in the Discord that submitted an idea. Now, if you want to go in and see all the specifics and the nitty-gritty of these DLC ideas that we kind of glossed over here in the podcast, come join our Discord. You can click on the link that's on our description, and you can come in and maybe add your own DLC idea. And also, Michael, we are going to add all of the names to a wheel spin. Am I right? And what are they going to win?
One person who submitted an idea is going to be a lucky winner of a t-shirt for a new Normal People Gaming design that we've created.
I like this one.
Free t-shirt for one of them that submitted an idea. What we're going to do is we're going to add all the names to a wheel, and we're going to spin it and put it in the Discord, and we're going to have one lucky winner.
Yay.
We want to do a special shout out to our companions who have just been a major part in this community and just keeping it going. We've got Zegra Rocks, we've got Ben Price, Griffin, Cherry Bomb RN, Rampage American X, Space Cadet, and we've added a new one to our ranks. We've got Brian, who has become a companion as well. So thank you very much, all of you, for being our Patreon companions.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining, Brian. Appreciate it. And thanks to everyone that listens on Spotify, Apple, and thank you to those watching on YouTube. All links are provided in the show notes below.
And an extra special thanks for comments and feedback. If you have a comment, suggestion, or an in-game story to share, you can leave it on our YouTube page or come talk to us in the Discord.
If you like the show, consider dropping a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. That would really help us out.
And thank you for traveling the Starfield with us. Make sure you subscribe because we will be back for more.
See ya.